Welcome back to the program. This is Capital Markets. You're free to join the conversation on Twitter at CTV Tempili and Arts Channels TV if you've got your thoughts to share with us. We've been looking at issues in the market, in the equity market, and looking at earnings. We have with us here Mr. Tunde Oyekunle from Pan-African Capital, and he's been helping us to understand what the earnings of Forte Oil makes for brokers and the investing public. You were talking about the cost of sales and how the profits, margins they recorded in 2016 full year, impacted the earnings. Talk more to us about this.
Yeah, having recorded a 19% increase in turnover, margin actually dropped marginally, and in fact, it affected Forte Oil. But the good thing is that the company is able to declare at least £1.99 EPS, which is a very good one for shareholders. Okay,
so we also see that they had across some of their product lines where you have grease, you have lubricants, they were able to generate more revenue from that. Would you say that's more from the domestic side of the markets?
Well, it's both from domestic and international too, because if you can see, despite the weak consumer real income, they had to increase their share price. I mean, the price of their product, and that accounted for that increase that we have in all those product lines. It
had a lot weaker performance in the fourth quarter of 2016. Yeah. What went wrong?
What went wrong is not far-fetched, as I've said. The volume really decreased, and that affected their margin, And we can see strong economic headwinds in Nigeria. That certainly affected every company, and Forte Oil is not an exception. But the fact that they're able to come through, to be able to declare profit, and still deliver value to shareholders, I think is commendable despite the challenges in the operating environment.
But what we know is that Forte Oil is a major giant in the Nigerian stock markets, and I know that brokers like you can't afford not to trade on it. But then let's go to the NASD OTC market and review the numbers coming in from there. On a week-to-date basis, that market saw its USI at 621.63 with the market capitalization put at 420.67 billion naira, and that's a decline of 1.08%. Volume of autos traded yesterday is 587.47 million naira. Joyce Banks, CSCS, and NDEP are some of the companies that recorded that are found on the top trades list in terms of volume, trading by volume. Let's switch to the NASD OTC markets. For the NASD OTC markets, we've got the 18th of March 2036 bond, 22nd of January 2026 bonds, recording 24 deals at a value of 4 billion naira. A price high is put at 80.65, while the March 2024 came in with 16 deals, and total deals from the bond side of that market is 100, while the total value is 33.70. If we switch to the treasury bill side of that market as well, bullish investors of course remain upbeat over the short-term bills, with 147 deals across against the 16th of February 2017 paper, and the value is put at 37.50 billion naira. Total deals on that side of the market is 991, while the total value came in at 265.21 billion naira. Let's get to this NSE, the equity market. A huge loss was recorded on that side of the market this week, driven by investors who liquidated their positions in Forte Oil and 7-Up shares after the bellwethers disappointed the markets with their earnings. The NSE All Share Index depreciated by 2% to 25,802.54. Market capitalization shared a value of 1.84% to close the week at 8.892 trillion naira. A total turnover of 1.153 billion shares worth 8.032 billion naira in 12,783 deals were traded during the week. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 841.221 million shares, contributing 72.93% to the market's gains. The services sector and industrial goods followed. Kevatin gains the most, just as Forte Oil lost 15.14%. Now, the NSE All-Share Index opened the year at 26,616.89, but by the end of the month, it had declined to 26,036.24. This means a 3.12% month-to-date performance. Our guest and Vice President at Pan-African Capital, Mr. Tunde Oyekunle, is still very much around. Now, the markets in January had what an investor will describe as a lull. What would you say is responsible for that?
Reason is not far-fetched. As people do say, the Nigerian capital market, the stock exchange, is the barometer of the economy. We're expecting a lot from the economy. We have strong economic headwinds, that, as we can all see, which I believe the federal government is working very hard to address one after the other. It's a reflection, and the fact that investors have not been able to get the desired returns from the capital market, that is what we are seeing in the NSE in this.
Well, as much as we couldn't get much activities in the market, we were able to get the listing of Medview to the market. And of course, next week we should be seeing, although this is coming up in February, we should be seeing the listing of Jais Bank as well. Yeah. But what would you say happened to the January effects that, we see regularly? Was there January effects this time?
Yeah. Well, we can't see any January effects, and the reason being, it started with about 96 basis point loss at the beginning of the year. Right. And as you can see from what you said just now, it came down to 3.12 loss by the end of January, and currently is about 3.99%. So the January effect is not, the January is not really so obvious, but we can say the fact that consumers asked to do a lot, it affected the index to come down to 3.99.
So we're still expecting earnings to come into the market. This week we should be seeing more. The banking sector was about the only sector that did so well at the end of 2016. And by the time their earnings are released for this year, I think we should have some kind of impressive earnings. Will that change anything going forward?
I believe it will. It will. Hopefully, if we can get good results from the financial industry, the banking stocks, and we want to believe there will be one or two surprises, because most of them have been saddled with foreign exchange losses, financial costs. But if we can see some surprises from few of them, just like Grief declared 60 kobo dividend, I'm sure that will increase, open the hope of investors to take more position.
Are you really expecting dividends this time?
Yes, it might be small, but we're expecting dividends.
So if you have dividends, bonuses are not too sure.
Bonuses are not too
sure.
But
dividends. Have those dividends. Well, viewers, next week promises to be so good, with more activities and events in the capital market. You should watch out for FMDQ OTC MOU with Standards & Poor's, NASDAQ, Memorandum of Understanding. That is coming up on Wednesday. And the Securities and Exchange Commission is also hoping to have a conference on the 2017 budget. Whatever that means, you should watch out for updates on Channels TV. That event holds on Thursday, 9th of February, just as it is clashing with the listing of Jais Bank on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. That will be the second company coming to the stock exchange this time, as Jais Bank is also listed or trading on the NASD OTC. It looks like we will be having a lot of listing this year on the NSE. All right, and that's all the time that we have on capital markets this evening. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Temple Ashaju, and I'll see you next time.